Hi everyone, I'm Jose and this is On Tour Exploring in the University of Rochester, ready to experience the Flower City, also known as the World's Image Center. On this tour, we'll dig into the history of Rochester and find out why it has so many nicknames. We'll walk along the river trails to the city's waterfalls. Then, at the Strong National Museum of Play, we'll learn more about the study of play and look back at classical toys from our youth, and end our trip on the beautiful waters of the Great Lake Ontario. So let's go on tour to the city of Rochester, New York. The city of Rochester, founded in 1788, a city that sits by the smallest of the Great Lakes. It was one of the first boom towns of America due to its rich history with flour mills and photo-optics. Its population exploded with the help of the Erie Canal and its distinct waterway system, a system that leads to Lake Ontario. The Great Lakes of North America, respectively, some of the biggest lakes in the world. And right behind the trees is the beautiful Ontario Beach, where the city comes out to enjoy the season. Lake Ontario is 7,000 square miles, and its shoreline is 712 miles of beautiful sandy beach. The boats and jet skis occupy the waters. And this heat tempts me to take a dive into the lake waters, smiling and enjoying the excursion at the edge of the city. The lake's primary source of water is the Niagara River, which also connects to Lake Erie. And looking around the beach, you would think we were in the ocean. The state of New York has such diverse geography, and Rochester gives you a whirlwind of variety. It has rivers, lakes, and waterfalls, all within the confines of being New York's third largest city. Lake Ontario was a commercial port for fishing, with easy access to the Atlantic Ocean. But abundant fishing led to pollution from the traffic of ships making commercial runs. The state cleaned up the pollution and opted for recreational fishing and activities. This side of the beach is more secluded than the busier Ontario Beach Park. At the park, it meets with the Port of Rochester, where it's surrounded by businesses and dining venues. Walking towards the lighthouse, we see the boats up and down the waters, displaying the busy traffic of Rochester. Lake Ontario, one of the Great Lakes and the 13th largest lake in the world. Lake Ontario is the easternmost lake which borders Rochester with Canada.
And Rochester, its westernmost port on Lake Ontario. The Genesee River, with headwaters in the Appalachian ridges of Pennsylvania, and one of the few rivers in North America flowing north, passes right through the heart of the city.
At the center of Rochester are massive waterfalls stemming from a small stream in Pennsylvania's farmland. In the Allegheny area, close to Pittsburgh, the falls of the Genesee River. We head downtown, taking a path to the high falls of the Genesee River, an area that houses wheel pits to utilize the waterfall's current for energy. And this building contains the remains of a wheel pit with a scary look at the depths below. I begin exploring by walking the Pont de Rennes Bridge, to take a good look at the High Falls, a powerful 96-foot waterfall that engineered the city's industry. The Higher Falls, it powered the flour and brewery industry of Rochester. It had water wheels that became an engine for the industries and workshops on both sides of the river. During the 1800s, the High Falls produced strong hydropower, which fueled the mills in this area. The city had at least 10 flour mills, producing upwards of 500,000 barrels of flour per year. The invention of the Erie Canal made expanding the sale of flour easier, turning Rochester into the world's largest producer of flour. It gave Rochester the nickname of Flour City. From across the Pont de Rennes Bridge, I watched a freight train travel above the High Falls. Trains that once connected to the neighboring state of Pennsylvania via the Lehigh Valley Railroad. Such a marvelous sight to take in while I sit and observe from across the walking bridge. The lower portion of the falls, it was once a milling and manufacturing settlement providing energy in its history. The falls became a power generator for the city of Rochester. The lower falls of the Genesee River, a 67-foot waterfall that begins the trail to the Genesee Gorge. From the Lower Falls Park, we walk the path to observe the waterfall. The park contains one of Rochester's strangest sculptures, the seat of remembering and forgetting. The history of the falls is interesting, as it exists from a mix of nature and invention, a river that would frequently flood, leading the city to rework the waterfalls and reduce the overflowing. As we return back to the university, we bump into a statue of one of Rochester's biggest names. George Eastman started the Kodak company and could possibly be called the father of film. He made film roll go mainstream, making it easier for everyday people to access. This eventually led to motion picture film stock.
Take one, take two, take three, take 4 flash pictures without changing bulbs. In color, of course. Newest Instamatic camera outfits from less than $18, only from Kodak.
Where would we be without film? Something we should thank George Eastman for. Kodak is a brand that became the identity of the city. And at the heart of Rochester is a towering Kodak building, the corporate remains of one of America's pioneering heavyweights. You can see the building from many areas within the city, as it once gave life to the working class of Rochester. Eastman was a true pioneer and game changer, inventing the Kodak camera, which was the first to use roll film. It led to portable cameras becoming a device for public use. The rest became history, as Kodak went on to become one of the world's largest brands. And with this invention bringing us to where we are today. And we snap 1 million digital images within seconds, one after the other. It's like they come to life. George Eastman's estate became a museum for film and photography after his self-inflicted passing. And today, it's the oldest museum dedicated to the pastime of photography. Rochester is the third largest city in the state It contains such an amazing history, and it's been called Flower City, which boasted a thriving mill industry, Flower City, where it developed the world's largest seed company, and the world's image center for its photo-optic technology from companies such as Bausch & Lomb, Xerox, and Kodak. Let's get to the center of the city to learn more about Rochester. An abandoned underground subway, one of the relics of Rochester's past. This has been decommissioned since 1956. Rochester was founded in 1817 by Colonel Nathaniel Rochester. At Washington Square Park, it features a statue of Frederick Douglass commemorating Douglass's birth. In the city of Rochester, Douglass gave one of his more famous speeches, "What to the slave is the 4th of July." Rochester played an important role in the civil rights movement, laying out civil rights strategies that would echo across the nation. But Rochester's history is as diverse as they come. The Flower City. The Maplewood Gardens returns the memories of the once thriving flower industry. The gardens were laid out to highlight the nearby lower falls, and since its inception has become a great park for photography. It's used by the residents as a place of recreation, wedding venues, or just enjoyment for the roses. I find myself taking a moment to recap my journey of this great city in Western New York. As we move further downtown, we head to the Strong Museum of Play, one of Rochester's biggest attractions. The skaters outside of the venue bring life to the museum's entrance. And the colorful design building is shaped like blocks that give it a playful feeling. At the Strong Museum of Play, we relive our childhood and enjoy the wonderful memories of playing with toys. The Strong Museum is the world's largest museum devoted to the study of play, a blast for kids and adults. What it is to be a kid again. The museum is fun for all ages and takes you through a time warp of memories, toys, characters, books, and memorabilia from all eras. Make me remember some of the best moments of my childhood. And that childhood was filled with great video games. From the first time I played Sega and experienced Sonic the Hedgehog, I knew we were headed to the future. To fighting with my siblings over Super Mario. The museum is an interactive, stimulating, and engaging playground that holds a world record for largest cultural attraction in Western New York, largest collection of toys anywhere, and falls within the top 10 museums in the nation. A groundbreaking attraction for the city. In the south of Rochester is a trail of the Erie Canal, New York's behemoth canal system that begins in Albany and exits at Buffalo. I sit down on this warm summer day to feel the intensity of the laborers who constructed the canal, a waterway that stretched 363 miles, making it the second longest canal in the world. The canal trail has become a place where people get their fitness going. The Canal Guard Gates are located not too far from Rochester University. These guard gates are used for emergencies, such as draining from maintenance, a seal in case of high water rising and possible cracks within the canal wall. The canal was deemed an engineering marvel, completed in 1825 after a span of 8 years in construction. This connected the Atlantic Ocean to the Great Lakes, helping Rochester's businesses explode and nicknaming the city the Young Lion of the West.
Rochester, one of New York's first pioneers that gave us access to a real-life time machine, with companies like Kodak making film roll available to the masses. This technology made it easier for an everyday person to capture history. The city itself has an interesting composition, with a river running through the middle of the city and a waterfall at its end, connected to a great lake. Truly a New York one of a kind. This is Jose for On Tour. If you like what you've seen today, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share. If you'd like to know more about the places I've been to, please see the links below. Until next time.